Hi, I am Susan Ellenberg, and welcome to our third podcast installment of And Just One More Thing. The one more thing that we're going to talk about today is housing, affordable housing, helping to prevent and end homelessness. And as you probably know, if you are watching this, preventing and ending homelessness is one of the top priorities of our county government. We have an Office of Supportive Housing led by the unbelievable Consuelo Hernandez, whose primary task has been the implementation of Measure A dollars since 2016, and we'll talk more about that later in the program. But in addition to using Measure A dollars to build permanent supportive housing units and extremely low income housing units, we have done other work in partnership with the Santa Clara County Housing Authority to get vouchers into the hands of folks who need that to be able to rent apartments. We have worked very closely with the nonprofit organization Destination Home and with SV at Home. And our county was one of the very first in the state to create a community-wide plan to end homelessness. While in so many jurisdictions, cities and counties and housing authorities and others were sort of squabbling with each other and pointing fingers about whose responsibility this is, we had 13 entities that came together to create a cohesive plan. And while I understand that the magnitude of this challenge sometimes makes it hard to see progress, when I look at what Santa Clara County has done over the last 8 years, truly compared to nearly any other county in the state, I am so proud of what we have accomplished. And you know, we have to keep building because we have underbuilt for decades and decades, but we also have to be very intentional about preventing more people from falling into homelessness. There are a lot of factors that we can and need to be addressing in a very intensive way so that people don't lose their housing to begin with in this incredibly tight and expensive market. So stay with us. We have lots more to talk about, and I'll be back in just a second. Welcome back. In our next segment, I will be talking with the fabulous Regina Celestin Williams, who is the Executive Director of SV at Home. Stay tuned. And we're back. I am sitting with Regina Celestin Williams, who is the Executive Director of SV at Home. And we are sitting together in the community space of the beautiful Vitalia Affordable Housing Development, which is on South Bascom Avenue in San Jose. It's 79 units for a variety of folks, some of whom have experienced homelessness and are in the permanent supportive housing units. Some are in extremely low income and very low income units, and there are some units set aside for veterans as well. So I'm excited to be in this space, and I'm excited to be with you, particularly as we get ready to kick off Affordable Housing Month. So let's start, Regina, with just telling me a little bit about SV at Home.
Yes, so thank you for having me, Supervisor. I'm really grateful for being here. So yes, SV at Home, we're a nonprofit affordable housing policy organization that really focuses on advocacy. So what we try to do is advocate for policies, for land use regulation reform, zoning reform, things that really will create an environment where more affordable housing can be produced and preserved, and where low-income folks who live in Santa Clara County aren't as vulnerable to displacement. So our work, we do that work through education. And Affordable Housing Month is a great example of that. We do that by bringing in the general public and challenging them to learn about what affordable housing is. What does it take to get built? What are other solutions, policy solutions, to creating an environment where everyone can live and thrive in Santa Clara County? And we also do a lot of investment in the next generation of leaders. So we call that leadership development. We work to make sure that there are folks who are excited and educated about housing, who want to your next commissioner, your next mayor, your next board of supervisor. And so we really try to pour into the community what we know as policy experts while using data and research to really push forward policies that are going to change the dynamics that we see in this county, where it's hard for people to stay and live and be rooted and thrive, and create a place where we all have access to stable housing.
I love that so much. It's such critical work, and SV at Home has been such a strong and vital partner to the county as we work really development by development, neighborhood by neighborhood, to educate folks about not only the need for affordable housing, but really what it can look like and how beautifully it can blend into neighborhoods. And I'm sure you know, but before the voters approved Measure A in 2016, the county really wasn't in the housing business. We provide social services to folks that are struggling for one reason or another. But it was so clear that not enough affordable housing truly at any level was being built, but almost nothing for people that needed supportive housing. That's housing with social services on site, or extremely low income or very low income. So we used the $950 million bond that voters passed to provide financing in part of that developer stack of all of the funds that are needed to build, so that it would be affordable for them to build permanent supportive housing, ELI housing. And you know, we over-delivered. We promised 5,000 units, and we are above 5,100. We have either units or whole developments in 11 of our cities, 56 altogether. And between all of the Measure A elements and the other work of our Office of Supportive Housing and some of the prevention work we've done, we've housed or kept housed 17,000 people. That is several times over what the unhoused population was in 2016. But despite that policy success, it's so hard for people in the community who aren't activists, who don't educate themselves, to see that progress has been made. So how do we continue, or how do we increase public trust so that they understand that we are doing the right things, even though they continue to see so many people?
Well, first I want to recognize your leadership and all the supervisors' leadership who've been a part of that success tied to Measure A, because that is what leadership is about. It's sort of stepping out, knowing that you have to do something that's different in order to address challenges that lots of people in our community is experiencing. And so what we've seen is our county step up and work to address the shortage of housing that's been built up over decades. You know, the challenge that we see with the affordable housing crisis and the folks who are unhoused, our homelessness crisis, wasn't created overnight. The shortage in terms of the number of housing units affordable at each level wasn't created overnight. That's decades of policy.
That's a really good point. So
really trying to solve it in a few years is not realistic. But what we've done is made sure that many more people have been housed, and we see more people experiencing homelessness. And that's when it takes more leadership, continued commitment to make sure that there's a home for everyone. And that's a lot of work that we have to do together.
I know you're here for it. This is a crazy short conversation, but tell me what's next. If you could finish us up by saying a little bit about the regional housing bond, that would be awesome.
Yes, what's next is we have folks who are thinking on a regional level about the big thing that can really provide enough resources for us to overcome the challenges we see with the bottleneck at the state in terms of big building of housing. Because we see more affordable housing getting entitled locally, projects that are in the pipeline, and not enough resources to fund those homes being built in our community. And so now the regional housing bond will provide $10 to $20 billion across the 9-county Bay Area, and that would translate to $2.2 billion to $4.5 billion within Santa Clara County, with an allocation for the city as well, the city of San Jose, the largest city in the county. And so we're talking about really using models that have been created and improved with Measure A, and pushing forward in a big way to make sure that we're building enough homes for everyone.
Thank you so much for talking with me. Voters should expect to see the regional measure. Doesn't have a number yet on the November ballot, and I'll say from my part, a place where you'll see me really digging in more and working on impact is on prevention. Because until we stop this pipeline,
That's right.
We're going to have people continue to lose their housing while we're building as fast as we can. So
right.
There's so much work to do. I'm so excited that you're in the work and that we get to continue to work together. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. And I hope to see people at Affordable Housing Month events.
We'll promote them. And just one more thing. Today, the perhaps little known fact that I'll share about myself relates to music. Despite the fact that I was always the tallest girl in all of my classes from preschool on, I was never an athlete. I didn't play basketball. I didn't play volleyball. I played the piano and the cello. And I started playing the cello after my mom took me to a Pittsburgh Youth Symphony production of Peter and the Wolf, and I just thought that was the most magnificent sound that I ever heard. So I had an early love of classical music, particularly cellos. I love to hear piano concertos, but certainly as any kid, got exposed to more popular music and really became a folk music lover and rock and roll. I like some hip hop. I like a little bit of country. I like it if it's Casey Musgraves. And I like to go to concerts if I have good seats and good parking and it's not too crowded. And I haven't seen a ton of different bands, but the bands I've seen so many times. I think I have seen the Grateful Dead probably more than any other band, with The Who a close second. I've seen the Rolling Stones a bunch of times. Bruce Springsteen, Taylor Swift, and from that, kind of just a bunch of one-offs. The first concert I went to see was Billy Joel. The concert I didn't get to see that I still regret is Dire Straits. Had tickets offered to me in college at the Meadowlands. I said no thank you. That was not a good move. And I like heavy metal. I like to rock out in my house when I am stressed. To Nirvana, Metallica, Whitesnake, a whole bunch of those guys. And the last thing I'll share is my karaoke go-to song, which is always Paradise by the Dashboard Light by Meatloaf. So that is my one more thing for today.